During the end of the Cretaceous period, some of the most common large, herbivorous dinosaurs in western North America were the horned ceratopsids. They had a dazzling array of horns and frills, with each species possessing its own unique arrangement. The horns of one ceratopsid, Nasutoceratops, are particularly unique. They were incredibly long, so long that they have been compared to Texan longhorns. The first Nasutoceratops skeleton was found in 2006, although it wasn't named until 2013. It has recently become a lot more popular due to appearing in the Jurassic World franchise, such as in the Jurassic World short film Battle at Big Rock, the Jurassic World Evolution series, and it is set to appear in Jurassic World Dominion. However, Nasutoceratops's portrayal in film has not been entirely accurate. Nasutoceratops weighed about 1.5 tons, and was a little less than 5 meters long. Such a size was large by today's standards, but smaller than many other ceratopsids, and much smaller than its appearance in Jurassic World. However, its skull was 1.5 meters long. Nasutoceratops's massive brow horns were 1 meter long, nearly reaching the end of its snout. The comparisons to Texan longhorns do not just come from the length of these horns. The base of each horn was just above the eyes, and, like those of a Texan longhorn, they came out from the side instead of from the front. When viewed from the side, Nasutoceratops's brow horns curved slightly up towards the end, but were mostly straight. But when viewed from the top, they curved outwards and then curved back inwards. While ceratopsid horns are often thought of as weapons used to defend themselves from predators, it is now thought they were primarily used to attract mates, either through visual display or combat. In the case of Nasutoceratops, it is thought rivals may have interlocked their horns together and engaged in a sort of horn wrestling contest. This would have been a lot safer than actually trying to stab each other. Still, defense could have been a secondary function of Nasutoceratops's horns. At the very least, they would have been an obstacle for any predator trying to attack it from the front. Nasutoceratops's name means big-nosed horned face. This isn't in reference to its nasal horn, which is low and flat. With its position behind its tall, round nose, it is easy to not even notice it. Instead, the name is in reference to the nose itself, which is massive compared to most other ceratopsids. The nose was pneumatic, meaning it had empty, air-filled spaces. As of right now, the exact purpose of these spaces is a mystery. An additional trait that sets Nasutoceratops apart is the length of its snout. Even though its nose was tall, the actual snout was short by ceratopsid standards. However, Nasutoceratops's frill was fairly normal. It was of moderate size and had small, rounded, bony osteoderms along the edges. While it may have had few adornments, in life, the frill was likely brightly colored so as to broadcast fitness to rivals and potential mates. Besides their skulls, the bodies of ceratopsids were fairly similar to each other, and what is known of Nasutoceratops is no exception. However, the holotype skeleton does contain 3 preserved impressions of its scales, all of which were found near its shoulders. Some of these were semicircular to oval-shaped. The scales on a different patch were a mixture of hexagonal-shaped scales with smaller, triangular scales between them. Within Ceratopsidae, Nasutoceratops belonged to the clade Centrosaurinae. Centrosaurinines generally had short frills, much like Nasutoceratops, as well as short brow horns and a long nasal horn. The other major clade of ceratopsids, Chasmosaurinae instead usually had short nasal horns and longer brow horns and frills. While Nasutoceratops may seem more like a chasmosaurine, long brow horns were ancestral to the ceratopsids, and were also present in other early centrosaurines such as Xenoceratops. The more classic appearance of the centrosaurines only appeared later. Nasutoceratops is also the namesake of Nasutoceratopsini, a clade of centrosaurines who also retained the ancestral horn arrangement. Other Nasutoceratopsins include Crittenden-ceratops and Meniphi-ceratops. Nasutoceratopsins had short, deep snouts and undecorated frills, which is also like Nasutoceratops itself. Even though Nasutoceratops was small for a ceratopsid, it is still the largest known Nasutoceratopsin. Nasutoceratops's fossils are from the Kaiparowitz Formation, which is in the southwestern United States. It was formed between 76.5 to 74 million years ago. Despite Jurassic World dominion implying that Nasutoceratops and Tyrannosaurus were contemporaries, Tyrannosaurus wouldn't evolve until about 6 million years later. While the Kaiparowitz Plateau is now arid, when Nasutoceratops was alive, this region consisted of coastal wetlands near the western interior seaway. Besides Nasutoceratops, the Kaiparowitz Formation was also home to the chasmosaurines Utaceratops and Cosmoceratops and a second unnamed species of centrosaurine. Other contemporaries included the ankylosaurid Aeneas surfleus and a species of the hadrosaur Parasaurolophus. The top predators were the Tyrannosaurid Teratophonius and the gigantic crocodilian Deinosuchus. When Nasutoceratops was found, it was thought that the Kaiparowitz Formation was contemporaneous with the Dinosaur Park Formation to the north in Alberta. However, the dinosaurs found at the two sites are very different. Combined with how the dinosaurs in the south seem to have been more closely related to each other than to the species up north, this supported the idea that Western North America was divided into at least two different ecosystems. Nasutoceratopsins appeared to have been restricted to the south, while the EU centrosaurs, the centrosaurines with long nasal horns, appeared to have been restricted to the north. However, more recent work on the age of the Kaiparowitz Formation has found that its fauna actually lived after the species in the Dinosaur Park Formation. Furthermore, Nasutoceratopsins don't seem to have been as geographically restricted as once thought. A few, such as Avaceratops and a second, currently unnamed species, have been found in the north. This doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't a divide between the North and South in Western North America. However, at the very least, it was less extreme than once thought, so it is possible Nasutoceratops was more widespread. Regardless of whether or not it only lived in the Southwest, Nasutoceratops has revealed much about ceratopsid evolution. Not only did it have unique headgear, but Nasutoceratops has revealed the existence of a new clade of ceratopsids. Although its appearance in Jurassic World Dominion is not accurate, perhaps it will encourage more people to learn about the real Nasutoceratops. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something interesting. Have a great day, and if you enjoyed the video, please remember to hit the like button.